hi. I saw you there the entire time. You know, because usually people do the, oh, I didn't see you. I saw you, asshole. All right, I should probably set this down somewhere. I'm going to set this here and hope it doesn't fall. It should be good, right? First off, how have you been doing? It's been a while since we've seen each other. I hope you're doing well. If you haven't seen me in a long time, yes, I have lost weight, and I'm just being like super active with my life and all that stuff. I love fitness. I love going out. I love working out. I love running. I love lifting. I love doing all that stuff. There's a bug on the wall. There's a big ass bug on the wall. There's a big ass bug on the wall. Please don't fly. Please, bug, don't fly. You're looking right at me. It's looking at me. Yeah! I got it. That's disgusting. I got it. It's dead. Oh my God. This is a crime scene right here. Ew, 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 ew. Oh, God. I'm a changed man now. So, what we're doing today, first off, hi, I'm Dan, if you didn't know. Welcome to Reviewz. We're doing a bunch of different reviews today. It's been a little bit since I've done like an official review, and reviews are coming back. Reviews are going to be way more regular now. I'm going to be going to the movies, coming back, recording my thoughts, doing other reviews, doing older movies, not just new movies. So we're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff. YouTube is going to be getting going here real soon. This is kind of the first like mission statement, like, hey, we're back. And we're reviewing some movies, goddammit. Oh, there's a cat! Oh! There's a kitty cat. I love you. Mwah. Alright, so like I said, reviewing through a bunch of different movies that I haven't been able to review over the last like year or so. Let's just kind of try to tackle this list. It's in no specific order, particularly regarding release. I've seen some movies super recently, some movies I saw quite a while ago, and I've just been kind of stewing on as time has gone by.
Dread it. Run from it. Destiny still arrives.
Avengers Infinity War. Ba, 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 ba. No, it's supposed to be the Gauntlet. I don't have a Gauntlet because Disney didn't send me one. They sent other people ones, though. Maybe if I get into this YouTube thing a bit more, people will be like, oh, you do things, let me send you things. IMAX has been very, very, very sweet in the past and has actually sent me some stuff and sent me free tickets for movies. Batman v Superman is where it started. They sent me like a little cape and some other stuff. Then for Lego Batman, when that came out, they sent me an actual little Lego Batman figurine and stuff like that. When Dunkirk came out, they got me this effing, I gotta grab it because it's awesome. This is actually a multiple film cells from Dunkirk. It's amazing. I love it. You can kind of see it a little bit better when it's out of the case. You know, not that you could see super well, but you can kind of see well enough. Like, that's effing awesome and real. They did not need to send me that, and they did. Thank you so much, IMAX, for being so supportive and for being that one movie-related outlet that's like, hey, Dan, you're doing it, Dan. So yeah, Avengers Infinity War. I effing love this movie. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Kind of, it's tough to review this like its own standalone thing. I think it's just so much bogged down by the continuation of all these other stories that it's kind of like the first Avengers movie, where it was like, this movie is like such a good sequel to all the other movies that came before it. This is literally a sequel to the same thing. It's like all those little plot threads that they've been putting into the movies in Phase 3, or even just like the whole thing. And, you know, it's going back to the first Avengers when Thanos, you know, invaded New York in the first place. At the time, we didn't know it was Thanos until the post-credit scene and all that stuff. But really cool reveal, and ultimately, I think it's led down this road. There's been some divergences. I think Ultron was kind of really random and all that stuff. But I think the reason why what's-his-name didn't tackle Thanos at that point either was he didn't really know what to do with him. Joss Whedon, when he did Age of Ultron, I think he was just saying he didn't quite know what to do with him yet at that point. It's really weird. Joss Whedon seems to take on projects and be like, I don't have a full idea on what we're going to do, but let's just do it, huh? He worked on Batgirl for a year and then didn't realize he didn't have a story for Batgirl until... What? What was he doing over that time? Oh yeah, well, he was directing the Justice League reshoots and rewriting some of that stuff. We're going to review Justice League as well. Avengers Infinity War is amazing! Magnificent! Magnificent! I'm sorry, that's what Benicio del Toro was doing when he was in The Little Thing. I love Benicio del Toro. He shows up in movies and literally just wants to do weird things, and then directors are like, I'm sorry I hired you. But at the same time, he kind of makes movies more amazing most of the time. Avengers Infinity War, I thought, was an amazing sequel, continuation to all the other things. I thought it was a really daring movie. I thought it was really effing well done. As I was sitting in the theater, I was like, what is going to happen next? There's so many characters, and it's just like they literally have like tiny amounts of screen time per character, and it just all comes together in this really great stew. I feel like the amount of character interaction that was in the movie was amazing. I liked the different characters that they kind of split off from each other and put into their own adventures together. You know, Rocket with Thor, the Guardians with Iron Man and Spider-Man. What master do you serve is one of my favorite lines out of that movie. And I know that scene has a couple different amazing lines, because that has the Why is Gamora and all that stuff. But the what master do you serve? And it's like, what am I supposed to say? Jesus? I love that line so much. It made me laugh pretty damn hard. It's a movie that has some really heavy stakes. It's definitely the darkest of the Marvel movies, but it still has a really great levity to it that doesn't take you out of it. Probably my favorite reaction out of all the entire movie was Tony's reaction to Drax and Mantis about how they have no plan. Tony's face is just the best look of pure disappointment that I've ever seen in my life.
Kick names, take ass.
Yeah, that's right.
Robert Downey Jr., man, props to you, sir. You have just like a phoenix from the ashes, and just he didn't come back as a phoenix when he rose from the ashes. He came back as like a fucking just like a pterodactyl, just. That's not what a pterodactyl sounds like. I'm so sorry. He blew out of those ashes, man. Robert Downey Jr. killing it as Iron Man, as Tony Stark. It's insane to me the path that this man has taken. He's really, really, really turned things around for himself, and holy shit, does it really show when you're watching these movies. And it's like, this man has always been on another level acting wise. I've always found him to be a very interesting actor who's doing interesting things, and has a little bit more going on in his brain, more so than just, you know, this is what my line is coming up. He is trying to do some stuff with his performances, and I always appreciated that. To the degree of acting in this movie, I mean, it's an Avengers movie. There's shit going on every 5 seconds. There's usually, you know, it's not too long between action sequences. It's so fast paced. It's tackling genres, like it's going between fantasy, like hardcore fantasy, sci-fi, just mind-boggling action, some, you know, real drama going on. The Russo brothers, I feel, are like some of the best directors in this genre, you know, in the superhero genre. As much as the superhero genre is kind of tackling subsections of, you know, other genres and stuff like that. Like, you know, you get very heisty when you get Ant-Man and all that stuff. We've talked about this a little bit in my Logan review way back in the day. In general, it's crazy to see directors handle these tones, this dark tone, with this light popcorn movie stuff. You know, it needs to be the end of the world and the universe is at stake, but at the same time we have to be able to crack jokes and really kind of play with these different characters that are so different, see where they stand with each other. Because, you know, when you're watching the movies individually, you don't see these characters interact. You just more so, I know this set of people's ideals, this set of people's ideals. The chemistry and the recipe is just right, you know, for this movie. And holy hell, that ending. You know, as much as a lot of people, and I'm not going to get too specific here, but as much as a lot of people like to think, like, you know, oh, it's a comic book, everything will be undone that happened. I was sitting in that theater, like, opening night, midnight showing, IMAX. Like, I saw this in IMAX 3D, and I was blown away by the choices and the risk that, you know, like, watching what was happened, I was just like, what? I was just like, what? I was like, oh my God, they're doing this shit. They're going all the way with this, and I love it. Ending the movie the way you did, perfect, pitch perfect. Certainly there's a lot to live up to for the next movie in the resolution of things, but I feel like from beginning to end, this movie had a beginning, middle, end. It has a resolution, especially if you look at it from the point of view of Thanos', it being Thanos' movie, which the directors have talked about a lot. It's, you know, Thanos' hero's journey, or kind of like a twisted, warped version of the hero's journey. But it's just so really well done and really unexpected. And I wasn't, like, you know, the entire movie, all the articles were like, you know, who's gonna die and all that stuff. And I, like, didn't really want to put my mind on that path too much. I wanted to just go in and see where it went. But as the movie was going, I was thinking more and more, who's gonna die? What's gonna happen? Is Cap gonna die? Is Iron Man gonna die? And as things started happening, I was like, oh, okay, oh, dang. And then it was just like, what? Avengers Infinity War. So I can't stop myself from going mwah enough, because that was just pitch perfect, really well done. Highly recommend it. If you've been keeping up with the Avengers universe, the MCU, and all that jazz, you're not going to be disappointed. I mean, at least in my opinion, I don't think you're going to be disappointed, because holy shit, I loved every minute of it. I've seen it so many times at this point. I remember at the time I had Movie Pass. I don't have Movie Pass anymore because Movie Pass fucking sucks. My opinion on it the entire time was, I have no idea how you can sustain this. This is the stupidest model in the world, but you're offering it, I'll use it, whatever. And I used it a bunch. So there was, like, in the end, the value that I got from that card was way more than I paid, because it was $10 a month, and you could see whatever movie. I saw The Last Jedi 4 times in theaters. I paid for it myself one of the times. I saw it in IMAX 3D the very last time I saw it. Avengers, this was when I had Movie Pass, but when Avengers came out, I really wanted to see it in IMAX 3D, or at the very least IMAX, but it was playing IMAX 3D at my IMAX. So went and saw it, and I was just effing blown away by it. And then I went and saw it again with my Movie Pass and all that stuff. But either way, and that was when they started revoking, you couldn't see a movie multiple times. So that was kind of my way around. It's like, I'm going to see this multiple times, but with my own dollar. Anyway, now I'm using the AMC's A-list thing, so I get to see 9 IMAX movies throughout the month if I want to. And generally, a lot of the times we've seen the movies recently, we have seen in IMAX. We saw Mission Impossible in IMAX, as well as The Nun in IMAX, which The Nun I'm not going to be reviewing in this video, but Liz and I will have a video review of that very, very soon here coming up, as well as us tackling the Halloween series, because the new Halloween's coming out. Avengers Infinity War, overall, fantastic movie. Can't recommend it enough. Be sure to check it out if you haven't. And do yourself a favor, if you're a fan of the MCU and you haven't just caught up on the movies, catch up on the movies first, then watch it. Not that you need to watch every single one, but you know what? It's nice to know all these characters. I mean, leading up to, like, Black Panther was the movie that came out before Avengers. And holy shit, by the way, I need to talk about Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War and just the box office that those two movies took. Avengers and Black Panther both passed $1 billion. And Black Panther effing set the world on fire. Look at the box office domestic all-time list for the US. It's ridiculously insane. Let's skip around. Let's get to a bit more recent. Jurassic World. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, it's a bit of a baffling movie. It wasn't bad. I did not hate it leaving the theater. I was like, yeah, okay. It was stupid. See, I've watched the first couple Jurassics recently. Watched the first Jurassic Park, which, holy shit, that movie holds up the best. I mean, Spielberg is Spielberg. I think his movies are pretty damn timeless. It's like going home, you know? It's just one of those solid movies from the past. I think I have it right there. Jurassic Park. All the Jurassic Parks, even Jurassic World on 3D. Yes, I'm a weird 3D person. I'm one of the few people who actually likes 3D. Don't at me. I don't know why you would at me for just liking 3D. It's not like I'm cramming 3D down your faces. I completely understand. A lot of people don't like it. It makes some people nauseous. It's not good for glasses wearers. I get it. Jurassic World, yeah, it's a little wonky. The Owen and Bryce Dallas Howard's character, Claire. Owen and Claire. Owen's pretty similar to what he was in the first movie, but Claire is just completely, like, she used to be Tyrannosaurus business lady, and then now she's super save the dinosaurs animal activist sort of deal. It's kind of strange, and yeah. The characterization's a little with some of the characters. I was kind of annoyed by the spunky scientist lady and the screamy intern kid or whatever the fuck. By the end of the movie, I was like, okay, I kind of liked him. I kind of like those characters. It was alright. But I think when something annoys you initially, it's probably not the best thing. because she was just like, she was a little like, okay, lady, okay. You know, I think there's some like some tonal issues, especially early on. I think it's a movie of two halves. The first half is very much a different movie. Second half, very much like it just kind of kept cutting back. There's a point where they're cutting between the first half of the movie and the second half of the movie within the first half of the movie, and I'm like, what is it? What is this? And then eventually I'm like, oh, okay. Not terrible, not incredibly smart, some questionable stuff in there, but it was a fun ride. I enjoyed it. I was along for, I think, the end portion of it. I didn't think, and again, this isn't really, I'm not going to get super spoilery, but if you see the movie, the kind of decision towards the end that happens, you know, that big thing with the you know, you understand what I'm saying? No, you don't. I would say I'm for it. I don't dislike it. Here's my thing about the Jurassic World series, and kind of, we're going to get a little bit inside baseball here. Colin Trevorrow was the director and I think writer of the first one. I think he wrote on this one. At the very least came up with the story or something like that. I can't remember. But Colin Trevorrow was the director of the first Jurassic World. He's kind of the producer of this trilogy, I guess. The first Jurassic World did gangbusters. He was picked up to direct Episode 9 for Star Wars, and then the tragedy happened with Carrie Fisher, and subsequently his movie Book of Henry came out and really kind of tarnished a lot of his reputation as far as like that movie just being kind of a misjudged thing. I haven't seen the movie. I've looked up and read a detailed plot synopsis regarding it. I haven't seen it myself, but reading the synopsis, I was like, what is this movie? So, you know what? I don't know. I would have to reserve judgment once I see the movie. But either way, I kind of got caught up in all this conversation about Colin Trevorrow, or Trevorrow, or however you pronounce his name, and started looking into interviews and articles about him. I'm just kind of, it's his voice a little bit. His voice is a little weird, and you know, that's a lot of what it comes down to with directors and writers and all that stuff is voice, vision, and connecting with an audience. I feel like that's kind of the big thing, is like using your voice and connecting with the audience through that voice. You know, you get directors like Tarantino, who his filmmaking voice and vision just taps right into the vein of film history almost. So what you're seeing in Tarantino's movies is like a remix of something you've seen before, and he's using it for his purposes for a very specific reason. And like there's a lot of nuance to the directing and the voice of Tarantino. Right now, I feel like from the evidence that I've seen from the movies that I've seen from Colin Trevorrow, his movies are all right and entertaining, but there's something at the core of them that's a little off. And it's not like good off. Like, you know, I feel like Tarantino, it's good off. Like, his movies are off target, but they just create a new target and hit that. Anyway, Colin Trevorrow, I'm curious to see, because I think he's going to come back and direct the final of the Jurassic Worlds, and we'll see. We'll see. I'm kind of glad he was taken off Star Wars, though. I was a little worried about that at the time. All right, since we got on Star Wars, let's come around to Solo, a Star Wars story. I'm Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, Solo. Yeah, I'm feeling... Solo was one I was quite interested in at least seeing something from it. That was the biggest thing leading up to the release of that movie. There had been so much news in the film space in regards to Phil Lord, Chris Miller. They were directing, I don't know if they wrote it, but they were directing the Solo. Oh, no, they didn't write it because the Kasdans wrote it. Jake and Lawrence Kasdan wrote the script for that. I think it was Jake, right? Right. They wrote the screenplay for that. Lawrence Kasdan, wrote The Force Awakens, wrote like Empire Strikes Back, all that stuff. Like he's kind of one of these OG creators from the Star Wars back in the day. So I was super interested in whatever this movie was going to be. One, because you had the guy who wrote Han Solo. I'm Solo, I'm Han Solo, I'm Han Solo. to see the younger character and a different actor come in and kind of bring their own thing to it, hopefully still kind of embodying that character, a la Star Trek, the reboot, Star Trek 2009. I feel like those actors weren't doing an impersonation, but they were doing a really well approximation of that character and kind of bringing some stuff to it. I remember at the time Chris Pine commenting about how he hadn't met Shatner at the time, so him and JJ kind of landed on a almost Han Solo-ish kind of Kirk. He was particularly invoking Harrison Ford about how, in the Indiana Jones movies, he takes a beating, and Kirk gets the shit kicked out of him in that first Star Trek movie. So the movie stars Alden Ehrenreich as the titular Han Solo. You have Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. Khaleesi from Game of Thrones is playing Kira. And so you have like this different characters. Woody Harrelson's playing like Han's mentor and all that stuff. So, basic kind of, like origin for Han. How did he meet Chewie? How did he get the dice? How did he get the Falcon? How did he get his heart crushed by the woman he loved? Okay, so let's just say this. I left the theater feeling I'd watch more of that. As much as I thought leading up to it, I feel like a lot of the marketing was mishandled. I feel like a lot of just in general, the movie was mishandled being made. I don't know if those guys had to be kicked off the movie. I'm curious. This is kind of like Justice League a little bit, where it's like, I just want to see what they were doing. Like, I want to see, because I feel like in the end, there wasn't quite a spark going on. There was no spark that would light the fire that would make Han Solo shoot first, There was no spark behind the eyes in regards to the soul of the movie. I feel like the movie was missing something. Not to say that the movie feels like a reshooty piece of crap or like a super messy mess. It's not a mess. It comes out all right. I feel like we still got to see some of the scenes and everything that Lord and Miller shot. I just feel like we would have had a little bit more, youth in there, You know what I'm saying? I love me some Ron Howard. Look. I'll watch Ransom all day long.
Give me the money, you motherfucker! Give me back my son! Give me back my son!
I feel like I would watch more if they put out more. I feel like it wasn't terrible the way it was, but I would like to see something a bit more. This is a director's vision, going off of this script, and then making it happen, please. None of these Star Wars movies have been that except for The Last Jedi and Force Awakens. Those were the only of the Star Wars movies that have come out since Lucasfilm was bought up by Disney that didn't have another director come in reshoots and then try to do it. So, and not to say that the Ron Howard stuff wasn't reshoots. They weren't even done with principal photography before they removed Lord and Miller. They had done a lot of principal photography. Supposedly they only had a couple weeks left of filming, and then they shut production down, reviewed the footage they had, and then decided to fire Lord and Miller. Then Ron Howard came in and reshot a good chunk of the movie. He went and shot months longer. So much so that Michael K. Williams, who was set to play Paul Bettany's character in this movie, he was supposed to be kind of like an alien guy. They ended up replacing him with Paul Bettany because Michael K. Williams couldn't do the amount of reshoots that they had to do. But yeah, Solo, I recommend it if you're into Star Wars. You know what was really sad was it was the first Star Wars movie, and I've seen, I think since episode 1, I've always done the opening day or midnight showings. Each time I saw those movies, it was with a packed house every single time for each of those Star Wars movies. Solo, maybe 10 other people with me in the theater. Either it was the lack of marketing, the lack of interest, or just the reaction from The Last Jedi. It seemed to really put people off, seemingly. I've never seen a Star Wars movie that put people off like The Last Jedi did. Let's get into The Last Jedi.
I only know one truth. It's time for the Jedi to end.
What a story, Mark.
I mentioned earlier, I saw Last Jedi 4 times in theaters. I saw it 3 times just regularly using my movie pass. And then 4th time I went and saw an IMAX 3D. I feel like that movie is, for me, I really like the movie. I watch it, I enjoy the entire thing. As a Star Wars fan, I remember watching it and being halfway through. It was around this later part with Snoke and Rey and Kylo in Snoke's chamber and all that stuff. And thinking to myself, I have not expected any of the turns this was going to take. I really don't know where it's going. And I really liked that feeling. I liked the feeling that it was a smaller, pared down Star Wars story. Star Wars story. It's not a Star Wars story. It's one of the saga ones. But you know what I mean? Like, the story of the movie was just basic enough. This is funny because I watch a lot of Red Letter Media. Over the last year, I really kind of have fallen in love with their content and have since watched, like, a lot of it. This is something that Mike actually said, but at the time when I was in the theater, I thought this to myself. This is a lot like kind of like a Star Trek episode. It almost reminds me of the two fleets chasing each other slowly across space, them just being able to keep out of range, but slowly like falling into this danger zone because they're running out of gas sort of deal. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was an interesting concept for this kind of slow chase going on elsewhere while action is going on other places where our characters are trying to get things solved to, you know, fix this situation. I thought it was a cool little concept for this kind of ticking time bomb sort of take on the ticking time bomb or car chase sort of deal. It's like, it's almost like Duel in space, you know? Rian Johnson, I feel like he took some risks. I think some of them paid off, some of them didn't. I get Mark Hamill's hesitation with the way they took Luke and all that stuff. I think from that aspect, there's a lot of answers that people were expecting in this movie that they didn't necessarily get, particularly regarding Rey's parentage, all that stuff. I'm sure JJ will end up picking that thread back up and fixing it or whatever he wants to do with it. So, you know, all that stuff. There's a lot of things going on with the Star Wars franchise. Let's see how Episode 9 shakes out. One thing I kind of mildly want to touch on was my experience going into this movie. I knew they weren't going to kill off Leia. They had said so specifically. They said, we're not going to kill off the character in Episode 9 just because she passed away. We're not going to do CGI. They have confirmed they're repurposing footage from The Force Awakens and maybe from The Last Jedi. I think just from The Force Awakens, though. That'll be interesting. So they said Carrie Fisher, you know, they wouldn't be killing off the character. The first act of the movie has Carrie Fisher getting blown out into space from this bridge exploding. Carrie Fisher and like Admiral Akbar and a bunch of anybody who was on the bridge just gets sucked out. And hey, by the way, I voiced Admiral Akbar in the How It Should Have Ended for The Last Jedi, so you should totally check that out.
I certainly have to use the bathroom.
They all get blown out into space. And then they cut away from it. They don't even like go right back to it. They go to General Hux or whatever on the thing. And my heart just dropped. I was nearly breathless in the theater. What just happened? Then they cut to Leia in space. And I'm like, what is going on? I don't like this, my heart right now. I don't know what's going on. And she opens her eyes. She does the space thing. She starts flying. And I was just like, oh my God, this is incredible. I know a lot of people thought it was really goofy, but some real life emotion came into this for me, particularly around all the Leia stuff. You know, not knowing the way things were going to go with her tragically passing away and all that stuff. This movie is such an insane send-off to Leia, you know? Like, yeah, in the end, there isn't much resolution to her character, but like, holy shit, there's some moments, some oddly prescient moments where the camera, and like this could have been done in editing later, you know, a little bit more handle on a scene where they're holding hands or something like that. There's a lot of holding hands with Leia that just really got me. And I've never, ever in my life teared up during a Star Wars movie. The last scene with Luke and Leia, and I like, the movie's been out for a fair bit. You should have seen it by this point. I'm not going to get into super spoilery stuff, but the last scene with Luke and Leia is just does not fail to make me tear up. You know, it's just so, the lighting, the mood of the scene, and especially the conversation they're having. No one's ever really gone. And it's that line is the line that just, and they show these shots of them too, and they're, I remember when Force Awakens came out, I was a little iffy on Leia. Like, it was just her going around going, what's going on? She wasn't really doing much. Last Jedi has a lot more Leia going on and is a lot more representative of the character, I feel. That's the movie we got, you know, a little sidetracky, but ultimately I still enjoyed it each time I watched it. I don't think I get bored watching it at any point, and I don't think there's anything in there that's, insulting or anything. So I quite enjoy it. I don't think there's anything that's terrible about it. I'm curious to see how the story resolves, because I feel like Last Jedi was just not bothered at all by trying to make it connect within this stuff. I feel like it was kind of trying to do its own thing a little bit. Either way, I'm one of the people who likes it. If you don't like it, I completely understand. I get both. There's always multiple sides to an opinion, especially when it comes to Star Wars, something that everybody loves. All right, let's just get the elephant out of the room. Justice League. Justice League. Justice League. Batman. I like Batman, okay?
We have to be ready. You, me, the others. There's an attack coming from far away.
Not coming, Bruce. It's already here. The others. Where are they?
Okay, so Justice League. I don't think I've officially talked about Wonder Woman. Let's talk about Wonder Woman for a moment. Did I love Wonder Woman? No. Do I love Wonder Woman? Yes. I really like Gal Gadot. I like the actors in that movie. I like Chris Pine. I like the chemistry of that movie. As far as character goes, they got that character dead on, and I can't wait to see what Patty Jenkins does with Wonder Woman 1984. Just because I feel like Wonder Woman had a lot of hurdles to get over. I feel like they were still trying to keep up with the tone of Batman v Superman, still keep it kind of dark. I think it was fighting to be a little bit brighter. And now that I think Justice League, you kind of see the super hyper overcorrection they had. So, okay, let's talk about this for a little bit. A lot of my feelings in regards to Justice League have to do with how it was made. So Justice League was set to start production a couple weeks after Batman v Superman came out. Batman v Superman came out, instantly 26% on Rotten Tomatoes, getting shat on critically. I think fan-wise, a little bit of a stronger reaction than the critics, but still plenty of against. There is this knee-jerk reaction from Warner Brothers to rewrite the script, make it funnier, make it a bit fluffier. So that's what they do. Before they go into production, they do a quick rewrite of the script. I don't know who was brought on to rewrite that, or if it was just the same writers. Chris Terrio, who wrote Batman v Superman and Argo and all that stuff. He'd worked with Ben in the past, Ben Affleck. They do a rewrite for Justice League in regards to the reaction to Batman v Superman. They film, they get a rough cut going. There's like a basic cut of the movie. They do a screening at Warner Brothers. The execs are like, they're prepping for reshoots, all that stuff. And they bring in Joss Whedon, who is working on Batgirl. He's working closely with Zack Snyder on reshaping this. Then Zack Snyder has a real deep personal tragedy happen with him. He ended up working on it and continuing working on the movie leading up to the reshoots. That's when he decided to take a step down. Now, I don't know exactly all the behind-the-scenes stuff. This is how it was presented to the public. That he tried to, well, this is what he said at the time. He tried to throw himself into the work, and he thought that might help, but it wasn't, and he needed to take the time to help heal with his family. So I understand that. He went off the project. Joss Whedon stepped up to direct the reshoots that he helped co-write or wrote. They do the reshoots. I remember reading articles about Ben talking about how it was interesting working with Joss and Zach and the differences between the directorial styles and all that jazz. This whole mustache thing happens with Henry Cavill. He's gone off to shoot Mission Impossible Fallout, which is an amazing movie. He has this mustache for the role. It's not an incredibly heavy mustache. I think the first scene they have him in, it's a little lighter, and then it gets kind of thicker throughout the movie. So he has this mustache for Mission Impossible. Paramount says, no, you can't shave the mustache, because they're still shooting their movie. So they have to CGI out Henry Cavill's mustache. So that happens. The movie comes out, and more of the story regarding the reshoots and the rewrites and all that stuff comes out. See, the thing is, the movie, despite having all these extensive reshoots, was still rushed to hit its release date, its original release date that they put out. Despite having to do extensive CGI regarding Henry Cavill's mustache, CGI regarding the bad guy Steppenwolf, some which you would imagine had already been done. So apparently, some of the producers on the movie refused to push the release date back because Warner Brothers was in the middle of going through a merger. They weren't sure if there was going to be approval for it yet. AT&T was buying Warner Brothers. These producers didn't know if they would have a job post-merger, you know? So what they did, in order to maintain their bonuses, they decided to not push the release date so they can get, you know, their money. I hope that money was worth it, because this movie suffers from not having the time to, at the very least, do basic CGI. The first shot of the movie, egregious CGI bare face on Superman, talking to some kids, and he's talking about how, like, Hope is like his car keys, or like your car key. They're kids. They don't understand this shit. So anyway, the movie comes out. I see it a couple times. I'm not incredibly disappointed by it. It's not a bad movie. It's not a good movie. But a movie that does pretty well at getting the characters right. It kind of wipes clean, for the most part, the slate that they've been building up to. We don't get any of the Flash time travel stuff that's teased in Batman v Superman. Again, this is another little drop. I'm actually the voice of the Flash in the How It Should Have Ended for Justice League, so you should definitely check that out, because I think that the How It Should Have Ended has some good criticisms in regards to the movie.
I know you guys are all ready to do battle, but I've actually never done battle.
Stab one.
What?
Stab one person.
What are you talking about?
To be more specific, stab that one, actually.
I don't know how.
Here, don't talk, don't think. Take Diana's sword. Stab that guy. Do it now. Ready?
Oh, I am so not comfortable with this.
None of the spirit of Batman v Superman's in there. It kind of looks different. They've upped the saturation. They've upped, which I don't mind. You don't need to have a gray-looking world. That's more so Zack Snyder's visual style. But it's weird when you take this footage and then you up the saturation so the colors are a bit more poppy, because it's still the dark suits. They just kind of pop a bit more. It's a little weird. The Superman suit specifically, or maybe even the Wonder Woman suit. The movie handles the characters pretty well as far as just Batman, Superman, you know, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash. For the most part, I like a lot of the hero stuff they were doing. I feel like Cyborg's probably the most forgettable out of all those. I thought he was all right. But, I mean, there wasn't much to go on. That was the thing, was I feel like there was more in the original version of that movie that we just didn't get to see. And this is the ultimate characterization that we got to go see. Ray Fisher was talking recently about how they'll probably never make a Cyborg movie just because it'd be way too effing expensive to do it. He's like an all CGI character unless he puts on a hoodie at points. But either way, I don't know what's going on with that stuff. I don't have a crazy interest in Cyborg. If they could make him interesting, for sure. I wasn't interested in any of the MCU characters before they had movies about them, and then they made me care. There's something missing about these movies, and when you have a movie that's directed by Zack Snyder, co-directed by Joss Whedon, and it's like this, like, Joss Whedon did the Avengers, dude. Like, he did Avengers. He did Avengers Age of Ultron. I love Age of Ultron. It's a beautiful mess. It's a beautiful mess. Justice League? Ugly mess. You have a really 2D paper-thin bad guy, 2D paper-thin plot of the movie. It's just the way they track this box story. The 3 boxes. What are the boxes, Alfred? Like, what is going on? I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. At the beginning, Batman's catching a parademon. He gets him to a wall. This siren makes the parademon's head explode, and then it paints some boxes on the wall when it explodes. Why?
What the hell?
It was so lazy and weird and not well done, and that side of it was just And it's the mustache. Oh, even if Justice League had been an all-right movie, that movie would have been ruined by the mustache. Classic movies don't have something as apparent like that. That's what kind of was in my brain. You had a chance to make Justice League. There's no reason that Justice League should be the lowest grossing movie out of all of your movies. I just really get pissed off at the producers who push the movie to preserve their bonuses, because that's some bullshit for me. You're putting a movie out into the cinematic landscape. It's going to live forever. If they would have given more time to probably do a bit better CG, even then, they should have just waited. They should have pushed reshoots off so they could have shaved the mustache after the fact, and he could have done that after Mission Impossible was done being filmed. Look, I get it. Scheduling's tough, especially with all those actors, but holy shit. Just film all the shit without him. You can film them separately. Film a stand-in. It's not tough. Justice League is just... I actually do, surprisingly enough. I had no intention on buying it, but I actually do own it on Blu-ray, and it was $10 on Amazon. That's the only reason why I bought it. It was a couple weeks after it came out on Blu-ray, and Amazon marked it down to $10. There's no way in hell I'm paying, full price for that movie. And it just pisses me off. When the Lego Batman movie is better than your Justice League movie, get your shit straight, Warner Brothers. I'm excited for Shazam. I think it's going to be good. I like David F. Sandberg, the director. He did Annabelle Creation, Lights Out. I think he's a very interesting filmmaker. He's a old school DIY YouTube filmmaker. So I am just really excited by that prospect. That somebody like myself. Who's made shorts on YouTube, went off and is making these big Hollywood movies now. Oh, hi, I'm here now in a different form, in a different spot in my office, I guess. I actually ended up having some audio issues with my lavalier a little bit shortly after I finished reviewing Justice League. I had actually initially done more reviews, and my audio ended up messing up. So it's not that big of a loss. I got a little rambly towards the end anyway, and Liz ended up coming home at the very end, so I ended up kind of just cutting it short in the first place. So I hope you all enjoyed the reviews of those 5 movies that we just talked about, and I hope you're excited for more reviews in the future. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Hit that like button if you liked it. Liz and I have some reviews coming up super soon, and otherwise, yeah, there'll be more everything coming soon. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I love y'all. I'll see y'all next video, and yeah, bye.